traffic, heat waves, high property taxes, mosquitoes. In this video, we're gonna talk about the reasons why not to move to Austin, but why people still do. I've lived in Austin my whole life, and I've watched the city turn from a small, sleepy live music town to a booming tech industry, ever-changing skyline, Michelin star restaurants, huge festivals like ACL and South by Southwest. It's been an interesting thing to watch change and evolve over the years. Not only am I a native Austinite, but I'm also a seasoned local real estate expert. If you're considering making a move, you can call or text me at the number below, and we can schedule a one-on-one strategy meeting so you'll know the ins and the outs of what it's like to live here before you make a decision to move. Now, there's honestly a million reasons why people love living in Austin, but there's a million reasons why people don't like it here as well. By the end of this video, we're gonna cover everything you need to know to decide if Austin's a place for you or if there's better options out there. Now, we're gonna break this into two sections. First, we're gonna cover what's wrong with the city and why you might not love it here. And then we're gonna cover why people do enjoy living here in the city and why they genuinely move here and then never wanna leave. First, let's start by talking about the heat. In a city like Austin, the heat is kind of hard to ignore. And it might not seem that bad when you're just looking at the data and the temperature and the number of days that it's over 100, but realistically here in Austin, it's also very humid. So 100 degrees in Austin might feel a lot hotter than 100 degrees in Colorado or 100 degrees in California. It's much hotter, it's a stickier, wetter heat here. So that's something you need to kind of prepare for before you make the move. We had 70 days over 100 in 2023. Now, that's not the average. The average historically is about 30 days or so over 100. But whether you believe in climate change or not, the heat is real in Austin. Now, that being said, Austin's a city with plenty of ways to escape the heat. Now, not just things like AC and staying inside and just finding some shade. If you look in any direction, or get in your car and drive in any direction for that matter, there's a lake, there's a creek, there's a natural swimming hole, and that's not just outside of the city, that's right here within the city of Austin. You've got green belts, you've got pools like Zilker Park, Barton Springs, there's water everywhere. So even though it's hot, there's plenty of fun outdoor activities that involve water where you can go cool off and beat the heat. Now let's talk about property taxes. In the state of Texas, property taxes are honestly a lot higher than they are in other states. However, it's not what you might think, so don't get sticker shock. Here in Austin, in the state of Texas, we don't have a state income tax. So some of that tax deficiency is made up for in a little bit higher property taxes. But as my grandma used to say, it's 6 of one, half a dozen of the other. My wife's grandma used to say it'll all come out in the wash. What I mean by that is, even though the property taxes are higher, because you're not paying a state income tax, you still might have a tax benefit for moving to the state of Texas. Now, admittedly, I'm not a CPA. If you're considering making a move to Austin, I recommend talking with a tax professional so you can discuss what that might mean regarding taxes if you decide to move to Austin from another state. So the good news is that property tax that you're spending money on here in Austin is going to go to improve the infrastructure of the city as it grows. Now, taxes is a pretty good segue into our next topic, which is the traffic. Traffic and heat are the two things you can't really ignore in the city of Austin. I-35 was actually ranked the #2 most congested highway in the United States. Now, I-35 is one of the main two thoroughfares that runs from North Austin all the way down to South Austin and into San Antonio. And as you go north, it heads up to Dallas. Traffic and congested roads is a historic problem here in the city of Austin, and it goes way, way back to when the city planners were originally designing the layout of the city as a whole. Now, they thought that they were intentionally designing the roads in such a way that would prevent the city of Austin from expanding and growing. They wanted to kind of maintain that sleepy college, live music town vibe, but in today's day and age, we all know that did not work. Tech still came here, jobs still came here. The live music capital thing kind of backfired on them because now we have events like ACL. We've got South by Southwest, the biggest music festival in the world. So congestion is a problem, and the way the infrastructure is designed just wasn't built for the number of people that live here. Now, that being said, there's plenty of options for places to live in Austin where your commute cannot be all that bad. There's plenty of walkable areas where if you move into a specific neighborhood, you can get to your necessities like the grocery store, schools, things like that, without having to get on these major highways. And one thing a lot of people want to do when they move to the city of Austin is avoid having to get on I-35 and Mopac, which are the north and south highways that run across the city. Now let's talk about a completely different kind of congestion, and that's allergies. Central Texas, the Texas Hill Country, and Austin are famous for cedar fever. And it's not just the cedar pollen count, it's things like ragweed, mold, other types of pollen. If you have allergies that are seasonal, something to take into consideration if you're thinking about moving to Austin. If you're not familiar with cedar fever, it's something very similar to getting the flu. It's miserable from what I hear. Luckily, it doesn't affect everybody, and I'm one of the lucky ones that does not get cedar fever seasonally here in Austin. But if you're highly allergic to things like cedar, mold, ragweed, I'd suggest stocking up on your Zyrtec before your trip here to visit. Now, you kind of got to take the good with the bad. All those things exist because you're in a city that's built on and surrounded by beautiful outdoors, nature, waterways, parks. So you kind of got to take the good with the bad here. If allergies and fire ants and mosquitoes all seem worth it to you, let's talk about the actual cost of living here in the city of Austin. Now, the cost of living is going up nationwide. Things like insurance, groceries, streaming services, internet, everything is on the rise so far as cost is concerned. And Austin's really no different. I mean, that's just kind of going to be the same thing no matter where you live. But one of the things people often overlook when they move to Austin is the cost of the lifestyle, right? So Austin is known as the live music capital of the world. There's tons and tons of great restaurants. There's Michelin star restaurants. There's a booming nightlife. So those are things that are gonna get kind of expensive night after night, day after day, year after year. So it's something that I highly recommend saving a budget for. It's kind of like moving to Colorado and not thinking about the expense of Lyft Pass. You just kind of gotta build it into your cost of living here. Now, I know that's kind of sneaky, but I think that that could also be seen as a pro. There's just so many fun things to do. It's just something you need to account for if you're gonna move here and you wanna take full advantage of the city. A couple of other pros when it comes to the cost of living is, again, we talked about it earlier, but there's no state income tax. There's a lot of really, really good public schools here in Austin, and inventory in Austin is at an absolute record high. So you've got lots of motivated sellers, and you can actually get a really, really good deal in the current market here in Austin. Now, I'll be sure to cover the ins and outs of the school system specifically here in Austin in another video, so make sure you subscribe so you get a notification when that video drops. Now, this next one ties a little bit into the bugs and the allergies, but we need to make a very clear point that not everybody loves nature, and nature's not always fun. Now, if you're a fan of the city life, but also love the great outdoors, then Austin could be the perfect city for you. Though be warned, Central Texas has a lot more residents than the loud neighbors next door and the kid down the street that likes to play his drums in the middle of the day. That includes things like snakes, scorpions, coyotes, bobcats, and the list goes on. Central Texas is also known for its droughts, but more importantly for your safety, it's known for its flash flooding. While most of the city is outside of a flood zone, it's very, very important that when you're deciding on a neighborhood, deciding on a specific property address, that you consult somebody who understands the flood zones and knows the ins and outs of what could happen if we were to get a flash flood. Now, this isn't something to take lightly. There have been recent floods here in Central Texas that have actually been deadly. So it's definitely something not just for the value of your property for insurance purposes, but also for your safety. And if you do move to the Central Texas area, we have a saying, it's turn around, don't drown. We're really, really prone to waterways flash flooding. I mean, if we get a lot of rain, there's nowhere for it to go, and it flows over those low water crossings really, really quickly, and it can be really dangerous. So please be careful if you move to the Austin area. Now, if you want to get more details on the different flood zones and what might be at risk, please give us a call. We'd love to schedule a one-on-one strategy meeting with you so we can discuss what you need to know before you make a move. Again, we kind of take the good with the bad here. Nature's scary, but nature also comes with a ton of amazing perks here in the Austin area, and it's just absolutely beautiful to live here, and a lot of people wouldn't trade it for the world. Now, with all that nature, There's also a surprising amount of construction that seems to be almost constant year in and year out here in the Austin area. Now, we're in one of the fastest growing areas in the country. There's tons of tech industry moving here still. There's the tourism, there's the nightlife, there's the live music. There's all those things combined. And the city, because we talked about the way the city was designed earlier, just wasn't built for that. So we're always 5 years behind when it comes to infrastructure, which means that we're constantly under construction. And I mentioned transportation and traffic earlier too. I-35 has pretty much been under construction my entire life. And I think the last time I checked, there's a project outside of my neighborhood. It's scheduled to be done in 2035. And it feels like it's been under construction since I was born. So I don't think that's ever going to end. I think Austin's gonna continue to grow, and that means that the construction, the infrastructure, things like that are gonna constantly be kind of trying to keep up with that. So speaking of construction and loud noises, the next thing on our list is downtown Austin. While it might be great to visit, might not really be for everyone. While going downtown to 6th Street or Rainy Street might be really, really fun for a night, as a matter of fact, I've had some of the best nights of my life in downtown Austin. It's where I met my wife. It's not necessarily something that's for everyone all the time. It's loud. It's not the most family friendly once the sun goes down. I mean, it's a party vibe. I'm not gonna call it Bourbon Street, but if you go down 6th Street on a Saturday night, you might kind of feel like you're on Bourbon Street. Now, that said, it's pretty easy to avoid the craziness. You don't want to move downtown if you expect it to be nice and quiet and get a condo and a high rise right over 6th Street. Now, there are little pockets that are close to downtown, if not in the downtown area, where you can still get a little bit of peace and quiet from time to time. But this is why it's so important to consult with somebody who knows the ins and outs of the city very, very well before you decide on where to live. If you're interested in moving to Austin or anywhere in the Central Texas area, I'd love to be that point of contact for you, be that expert and guide you through the process. You can call or text me at the number below. Moving right along, we're gonna talk about weird. Keep Austin weird's the motto, but this one's not what you might think. So the zoning and the infrastructure here in Austin, which we've touched a little bit on the infrastructure, but the zoning and the infrastructure can be a little bit weird, just like the city itself. Austin has a great mix of the new and the old, right? It's got neighborhoods where you might see a multi-million-dollar luxury home and then a tiny home right next door. Because of the zoning and the growth and the gentrification here in Austin, it's kind of a little bit patchwork in some areas. Now, there's tons of master plan communities, there's tons of new build communities that are very homogenized, and they're all similar homes. You know, they've got the clubhouse, the pool, things like that. But there's certain areas around Austin where, like I said, it can be a little bit hodgepodge. You just have to know what areas to look for and what areas to avoid if you're into that kind of patchwork, kind of unique cityscape type thing, or if it's something you want to avoid. There's also a lot of red tape when it comes to Airbnbs here in Austin. My wife and I actually owned an Airbnb for years. We have a lot of investment properties. We tried our hand at Airbnbs, and it just frankly got to be too much of a hassle. It was kind of a pain. And there was too much red tape, there were too many regulations, and we just decided to keep it as a long-term rental. So if you're considering buying in Austin as an investment, then you definitely want to talk to an expert about what you need to know about specific areas, because there are city guidelines when it comes to Airbnbs, and then there's also neighborhood-wide and area-wide guidelines that you have to follow. Now, I know I'm sneaking these in as positives every once in a while, but that could also be a bit of a positive. If you're moving here with your family, you're moving here as your primary residence, then not having Airbnbs everywhere in a tourism-based city could actually be a really, really nice thing. You're not gonna have crazy Project X style parties coming and going every weekend. You're not gonna have 15 cars parked on your street during South by Southwest because one of the neighbors decided they wanted to make $1,000 over the weekend and rent their house out. It can be a little bit of a positive as well. Just make sure you know, if you're coming here as an investor, to kind of research the red tape a little bit. Number 10 on our list is that the Austin culture might not be for everyone, or maybe it is for everyone, and it just takes people a little while to kind of fit in with the vibe and find their tribe, so to say. Once again, we'll quote the city motto, keep Austin weird. This is definitely an ultra progressive city at its core, but there's still Southern values throughout. just because of the population base that built the city and the city was built upon. So you still got those Texas values throughout. That said, culture clash is kind of a real thing for some people. But you've got just about every type of local music scene that you could possibly imagine. You've got reggae, ska, heavy metal, punk rock, classical music, country western. You've got every kind of music that exists probably thrives here in the city of Austin. The job scene's just as diverse. You range from tech startup CEOs that wear sweatpants to work every day, to blue collar workers, to high-end banks. You've got just about everything in the job market, and the people that work there are diverse, just like the jobs are. So while the city being kind of weird might be seen as a con for some people, it can, again, sneaking it in, be a little bit of a positive in a really real way, right? There's something for just about everyone here, whether you're a nerd that loves playing board games or whether you are an avid fisherman that wants to go explore a new creek, stream, or lake every single weekend and catch the biggest bass. There's something here for just about everyone, and it takes a city like Austin to be able to provide that. Now, a great way to find your people is going to a music venue, catching a live show with whatever genre that you like. It's a great way to meet like-minded people. Or if you're really big into sports, Austin is a great live sports community. If you like soccer, we've got Austin FC. If you like football, we've got UT football. If you like baseball, we've got the Round Rock Express. There's tons of sporting events here in the city of Austin, and it's a great way to kind of network with people, meet people that have the same similar hobbies and experiences as you. If you feel lost in the city of Austin, just go do the things that you like to do and you're gonna find your scene. So lastly, like I promised, we're gonna talk about why people do move here and why they don't want to leave once they get here. So taking in all of the negatives, all of the cons, I know I sprinkled in a few positives, but we're gonna cover exactly what people love about the city. So Austin, as we've mentioned time and time again, provides one of the best music scenes in the country, if not in the world. That being said, there's also an extremely diverse job market here. So no matter what industry you're in, you can probably find a job that you'll like here. There's also amazing food and drinks. So if you're into nightlife, if you're into going out to restaurants and trying food, I'm a foodie myself, and I absolutely love the fact that I can go to a different restaurant every other day for the entire year and get a great meal and have it be completely different than anything I've had the day before or the week before. It's absolutely awesome, and I love the food here. Now, while the communities can be diverse, they can also be extremely tight-knit, which is really great. I mean, there's tons of family-friendly neighborhoods, there's tons of young professional neighborhoods, and there's some neighborhoods that are a great mix of both. Now, it can be a little bit overwhelming, right? We've touched on a lot of points, we've talked about a lot of pros, we've talked about even more cons. I actually had a client that was moving from the West Coast. They thought that Austin, because of everything they've read, everything they've heard, they visited, for a day to go to a concert. They loved the city, and they thought that it's where they wanted to live. Now, they actually came to Austin, talked with me, we talked about what they wanted and needed. Now, we saw a few homes here in Austin because that's what they thought they wanted, but ultimately, they didn't like it. It was just too much construction, too much hustle and bustle, too much noise. But that being said, on the outskirts of Austin, which there's some fantastic options, we found him exactly what it was that he was looking for. A short commute to the city center, but far enough removed to where it seemed a little bit more suburban, a little bit more relaxed, a little bit more neighborhood, family feel. That's why it's so important that when you're thinking of making a move, you consult with somebody who knows the city like the back of their hand. I'm here to help with whatever real estate needs you might have for the Austin or Central Texas area. You can contact me below, and if you text with the words RELO, R-E-L-O, I'll send you my relocation guide that'll go over what it's like to live in Austin, all the things that you need to take into consideration, and even has a couple of area guides so you can know the ins and the outs of specific neighborhoods and see if there's something that might be of interest to you. Austin and the Texas Hill Country offer a great mix of freedom and opportunity, and if you know where to look, there's something for just about everyone. We're a team of experts in real estate here in the Austin area, so if you're considering a move and you want to talk more about strategy, get real world expertise, we'd love to help. You can text or call the number below or email us to set up a one-on-one strategy meeting so we can talk about the good, the bad, the ugly, and the weird of Austin.